There's a particular kind of grief that doesn't come from being forgotten. It comes from being remembered as someone else entirely. Someone your mother loved, maybe, in a way she never quite managed to love you. I'm 58 years old. I spent 31 years as an ER nurse before I retired, which means I've stood in more hospital corridors than I could ever count, usually on the other side of a clipboard, usually the one delivering hard news instead of receiving it. None of that prepared me for the corridor I was standing in on a Tuesday night this past spring, watching my mother reach for a passing nurse's sleeve with more warmth in her face than I'd seen directed at me in years. "This is my sister," she said, patting my arm, beaming at the nurse like she was introducing royalty. "This is Barbara." Barbara was my mother's older sister. She died in 1998, when I was 30 years old. Cancer, quick and merciless. The kind that doesn't give a family much time to prepare. My mother loved Barbara in a way I'd spent my whole life quietly measuring myself against and never quite reaching. The nurse looked at me, waiting for the correction that's supposed to come next. I opened my mouth, then I closed it again and said instead, "Nice to meet you too, hun. Ma's had a rough night." The call had come in around 9 that evening, the facility's after-hours line, a voice I recognized from a dozen similar calls over the past 2 years, telling me, carefully, that my mother had taken a fall in the hallway outside her room and they were sending her to the hospital as a precaution. Falls happen constantly at that stage. Balance goes before a lot of other things do, and my mother's advanced dementia had taken her mobility down a notch every few months for the last year, one small loss stacked on another until you almost stop noticing the individual ones and just feel the cumulative weight of it instead. I drove over with the particular calm that 31 years of ER work trains into you, the calm that shows up automatically even when the patient in question is your own mother. I've learned not to trust that calm too much. It tends to crack later, quietly, usually somewhere private where nobody has to watch it happen. By the time I got to the ER, they'd already run the basic scans. Nothing broken, thank God, just some bruising, and the kind of disorientation a fall like that stirs up in someone whose grip on the present was already fragile going in. My mother was sitting up in the hallway bed when I found her, more alert than I expected, scanning the corridor with the bright social energy she gets sometimes in unfamiliar places, like her body remembers being a hostess even when her mind can't place who she's hosting. My first instinct, hearing her call me Barbara, was purely professional, the reflex of decades spent gently reorienting confused patients, the standard script I must have used 1,000 times over my career. "Actually, I'm your daughter, Deborah. Do you remember, Deborah?" I had the words halfway formed. I've used some version of them on my mother probably 50 times over the past 2 years, every time this particular confusion surfaces, usually followed by a flicker of distress crossing her face when the correction doesn't quite land right, when she can tell something's wrong but can't locate what. But something in me stalled that night, standing in that fluorescent-lit corridor. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was watching her face light up the way it had. Genuine, unguarded joy, the specific brightness she used to save for Barbara, and rarely, in my memory, for me. I thought about the studies I'd read over the years, professionally, about how correcting someone deep in dementia rarely brings them back to accuracy. It just strands them, somewhere between two realities, confused, and now also distressed. I thought about my mother's actual face in that moment, lit up like it hadn't been in years. I let the correction die in my throat. "Barbara always did know how to handle a hospital," my mother said to the nurse, still holding my arm, her voice carrying the specific fondness I remembered from childhood being aimed at anyone but me. She was always the strong one, steady hands. The nurse, God bless her, played along without missing a beat, the way good nurses learn to, the way I used to myself, meeting patients in whatever reality serves them best in the moment. "Sounds like she takes good care of you," the nurse said, checking my mother's chart, and my mother nodded satisfied, patting my arm again like she was confirming something to herself. I stood there holding her hand, the way I imagined Barbara might have. Steady, warm, present, playing a role I'd spent 30 years watching my mother wish I could fill as myself. There was an ache in it I wasn't prepared for, standing under those hospital lights, my mother's hand in mine, her face soft with an affection she was giving generously to a version of me that wasn't actually me at all. I didn't correct her once, not through the scans, not through the 2 hours we waited for discharge paperwork, not through the ride back to the facility in the wheelchair van. I just stayed Barbara for the night and let her have whatever comfort that gave her. My mother and I were never close, not the way people mean when they use that word easily. She wasn't cruel, not exactly, just distant in a way I spent most of my adult life trying not to take personally, and mostly failing. Barbara was the sister who made her laugh, who she called every single day for 30 years until cancer ended that habit abruptly in 1998. I remember watching them together as a kid. The easy affection, the inside jokes I was never quite let in on, the specific warmth my mother reserved for a relationship that had nothing to do with me. I used to wonder privately what it would take to earn that same look on her face. I never quite found the formula. When Barbara died, my mother grieved in a way I'd never seen from her before or since. Real, unguarded grief, the kind she rarely allowed herself around me. I sat with her through most of it, drove her to the funeral, held her hand through the worst of it, and some small, ungenerous part of me kept waiting for that same crisis to finally bring us closer too. It never quite did. We went back to our usual careful distance once the acute grief passed. 28 years later, dementia has apparently decided to hand me the role I could never earn on my own merit. My husband Frank has watched this particular grief unfold from the sidelines for 2 years now, patient in a way I don't think I could manage if the roles were reversed. "You know this isn't really about you not being loved," he told me once, gently, after a visit that had left me quieter than usual on the drive home. "It's about her brain reaching for whoever felt safest. You just happen to look enough like Barbara did at this age for it to land there." I know that, logically. I spent 31 years explaining exactly that mechanism to other families in exactly my position. Knowing it professionally and feeling it personally turned out to be two very different things. My own kids find the whole thing hard to watch, my daughter especially, who gets quietly furious on my behalf every time Grandma calls me by the wrong name, like she's standing guard over an old wound I've mostly made peace with by now, or told myself I have. I kept going back anyway, every week, sometimes twice. Somewhere along the way, I couldn't tell you the exact visit it happened. I stopped bracing for the confusion and started cautiously, looking forward to whatever warmth came with it, wrong name and all. It was a Sunday visit, a few weeks after the hospital trip, when I finally let myself sit with what all of this actually meant. My mother was having a good day, sharper than usual, sitting in the sunroom of the facility with a photo album someone had put together for her years ago. She landed on a picture of Barbara and me from some long ago 4th of July, teenagers, arms around each other, and she touched the photo gently. "You always took such good care of her," she said, looking at me, meaning Barbara, I understood, meaning the sister in the photo, not the daughter sitting across from her. "I never had to worry with you looking after her." I sat with that a long moment, something shifting quietly in my chest. In her tangled memory, I'd become the one who took care of Barbara, the protector, the steady one, a role she'd never once assigned to me in 58 years of being exactly, specifically, her daughter. It occurred to me, sitting in that sunroom, that maybe this confusion wasn't only taking something from me. Maybe it was also, strangely, finally giving me something. A version of my mother's trust and warmth I'd spent a lifetime reaching for and never quite received as myself. It didn't erase the old ache of never being enough as Deborah, but it sat right alongside it, complicated and real, and for the first time I let myself receive it without needing it to make complete sense. I used to think love had to arrive labeled correctly to count, that if my mother couldn't say my actual name, whatever she was giving me in its place wasn't really mine to keep. I don't believe that anymore. What she gives me now, in whatever shape her memory allows, is still real warmth, still her hand actually reaching for mine, still genuine comfort passing between two people who love each other, even if the names have come loose from their proper places. I've stopped needing her to get it right. I've started just staying present for whatever version of us she has access to on any given day. If you're loving someone whose memory has started rearranging who you are to them, I don't think you have to choose between grieving what's lost and receiving whatever they're still able to give you. Both things can be true in the same visit, the same conversation, the same held hand in a hospital corridor at midnight. These days, I don't correct her anymore, not even the reflexive half attempt I used to make out of old professional habit. If she calls me Barbara, I answer to Barbara. If some rarer day she remembers me as Deborah, I answer to that too, grateful either way just to be recognized as somebody she loves. Frank still comes with me some Sundays, mostly to keep me company on the drive, though he's learned to sit quietly in the sunroom and let my mother and me have whatever version of a visit is available that day. My daughter's softened too, slowly, watching me handle it with more peace than she expected me to find. I retired last year, 31 years of nursing behind me, and I sometimes wonder if some part of me always knew I'd need every one of those years of practice for exactly this, for learning, professionally first and personally after, how to meet someone gently in whatever reality they're standing in, instead of demanding they come find me in mine. I was back in that same hospital corridor a few weeks ago. A minor infection this time, nothing serious, just enough to warrant a precautionary trip. Same fluorescent lights, same particular hum of machines down the hall, my mother sitting up in the same kind of hallway bed, scanning the corridor with that same bright social energy. A different nurse walked past. My mother reached for my arm. Same gesture as always, same warmth lighting up her whole face. "This is my sister," she said. "This is Barbara." I didn't flinch this time. Didn't feel the old ache rise up quite the way it used to. I just smiled at the nurse, squeezed my mother's hand and said, "Nice to meet you too. Ma's had a rough night." 58 years old, and I've finally stopped needing my mother to call me by my own name to know, underneath all of it, that she's still reaching for me. However, her memory dresses that reaching up. Some nights that turns out to be enough.